Hi, welcome back to Field Notes from Sophia. I'm Michelle. This video is the first in a series about energetic grid work, and we're going to layer in shielding, build protection, and activate your field step by step. Grid work isn't just about healing the earth, it's about becoming a stable force in a chaotic world. Okay? I've been doing grid work pretty much since awakening. Like, I didn't realize that's what I was doing, but I was doing it. That's the word for it. I woke 6 months ago. But becoming a stable force in a chaotic world begins with your dragon, okay? You could even add, more protection in, and we're going to do that, but this is step one, okay? If you've been feeling the pull to protect, to anchor, to remember, this is your invitation, okay? Dragons, so why dragons? Dragons are real, not in the way they've been portrayed or the way textbooks define, but the way your soul remembers. They're guardians of truth, ley lines, and of the earth. They walk beside us in grid work, dream work, protection, and remembrance. Okay, they help us remember. They're ancient, they're sovereign, they're from the angelic realm. And no two dragons appear the same because they're not. They're tuned to your frequency. Okay. So when I first met my dragon, how it happened, I'll tell you a little bit about it. I had this remembrance of an Incan temple, an Incan pyramid. And when I went, I realized that the pyramid was a dragon, and I have no idea why. I went up and I was like, it's okay to wake up. You're safe to wake up now. I love you very much. Do it in your own time. And I scratched and kissed their nose. And I got a snort, and I was like, oh my gosh, this was in meditation, but in deep meditation. So it was very interesting. And then the second time, I was, I think, under the earth, and I got an eye, And then in no time at all, I was flying with flights of dragons. I was becoming a dragon. It can really evolve if you're doing enough grid work and such. And then, so they just, they started appearing. And at one point I was in just the waking world, and it wasn't my first dragon. It was a different dragon, a purple dragon, and it was in my awareness while I was sitting in a passenger seat in a car, and I was and I even got a synchronicity about it. It was very interesting. But then so she was a matriarch, and then I ended up having a baby dragon, and I mean I have a lot. I'm very blessed in all of the dragon energy that I'm surrounded with. And it wasn't linear, it was layered. It really depends on what your nervous system can take. And you don't need ceremony to meet your dragon, but you do need permission. Sit still, let your breath anchor. Take a deep breath, hold it, take a deep breath in for 4, hold it for 6 or 7, however long you can, and let it out for 8, and do that 3 times. And then in your mind or out loud, you say, if there's a dragon aligned with my highest truth, my soul's mission, and the protection of my field, I invite you now. You are welcome in light and love. And then wait. You might feel warmth, see a flicker, hear a name, maybe nothing. Maybe the ground will feel different. I used to feel it a lot in my body. I would shake or clench or cry or things like that. You would get a very emotional or physical reaction. But with my first dragon especially, I couldn't hear a name. I was only seeing basically symbolism, and it was my inner child named him. And that was fine with him. He was oh, of course, yes, because your inner child is a pure frequency. It took me a while to realize how that name came about. His name ended up being Barnaby, which people who work with dragons in the spiritual realm would probably laugh a lot. And then but I just kept hearing it. It was like a child in my voice going, Barnaby, 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 Barnaby. And then I was like, okay. And so I went with it, but then I realized, oh my gosh, that's my inner child speaking, So that's pretty cool. And so still answers to that name to this day. I mean, he's whatever, I'm a frequency basically, but with my main dragon and I, he's like, you know, you already know me, we're kin, you know, that sort of a thing. And it's always been, whenever I'm doing work, he's really like my anchor. Like, you know, like if I'm liberating dragons or anything like that, he's anchoring it for me. So they may come, when you go to meet your dragon, they may come as full forms. Like I've helped somebody meet their dragon and it definitely came in a full form. It was amazing. But you may just get a wingtip, a snort, a tail, like I did initially. And that was like a slow initiation. And then then I was like off to the races. Which was pretty cool. And sometimes they're fierce, but sometimes they're babies, and that don't assign, you know, ego meaning to it. Okay, they're gonna present in the form that you that best is attuned to you. So like, while I have like a full-size, you know, dragon that's a guardian of mine, you know, and I also have a baby, you know, and the baby is, I think, like a mirror of my awakening. Basically, I hold her, I love her, I blow under her wings, you know, things like that in meditation. And like dragons are so full of like love, medicine, and they love to dance. Like that's my experience, you know. Very protective. Sometimes when I've been like emotionally purging and things like that, and I'll go into meditation, I've had it where they'll surround me in a ring, things like that. So it's important to activate your dragon, you know, for protection. And remember, if you don't want it to be, you know, the way that I'm describing it, you can just look at it as you are activating it within yourself and in your field. If you're just looking at it from like the quantum entanglement point of view, that your field does everything for you, then sorry, there's a plane overhead, then that's fine too, but you still are activating that dragon frequency. Okay. So in meditation, if they breathe fire at you, just stand still. It's fine. They're just burning away distortion in you. It's like a blessing. Okay. It doesn't hurt anything. It hones you. Okay. And it's an activation. So don't let it make you feel fearful. If you fly on them, if they hold you, there's really no wrong thing. And I know I was never like a dragon kind of girl, and now I'm such a dragon girl. So, you know, don't let limiting beliefs make you believe something that, you know, you have something to fear with dragons. You don't. I mean, any being can be trapped in distortion, but your dragon shouldn't be. So don't worry about that, okay? And one of the deepest meditations I had, I was on top of a dragon skull with 2 wolves who are like my internal protectors, and I fell through the dragon skull and I was looking out the dragon's eyes, and then there was a fire in the dragon skull, like almost like we were in a tent and there was like a fire there. And I took sacred medicine, and there were in meditation, not in the real world and not in the waking world, and the wolves bit my cheeks, my nose, my fingers, and my toes. And you know, I had like a reaction in my body, and then that was that. So that was very interesting. And it wasn't violence. It was remembrance. It you know, the pack was letting me know that I was protected and, you know, sovereign, you know, part of the pack sort of a deal. I'll never forget it. And if you're here, you already carry dragon codes. All you have to do is open the door. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? Like, there's a bunch of us that will allow perfectionism to keep us from moving forward. Don't do that. Activate your dragon, okay? Your dragon's already watching, already guarding, already loving. This isn't a fantasy. This is your lineage calling you back. Okay, and it's so much fun, like when you go to the spiritual realm and hang out with the dragons. Like, for me, it's fun. I know there's all sorts of dragons, and they can be very serious. Many are, you know, medicine dragons, and I definitely get a lot of medicine from dragons. But for me, probably because I need a lot of joy, I get a lot of joy from dragons in the spiritual realm. So that's step 1 in your grid work, and we will do more videos. Okay, the next one will be like protecting your home, and then after that I'll go into like some simple grid work that we can do. And you may say, well, what is grid work exactly? But you'll kind of know. It's like you want to do spiritual work for yourself, but the outside world and the earth, you feel this calling to do work about it, or you have remembrance of being a grid keeper before, which I have a lot of. I'll share some of those stories too. And so there are some of us who are here to help Gaia ascend along with us, and who are here to help protect other people and shield other people. And we just can't let go of those things. And so that's what grid work is about. So if this resonates with you, please follow, like, subscribe, remember, and comment. I want to hear your stories or what you feel called about. And remember, you're loved by the universe, by your guides, by your dragon or dragons. You could have more than one. And by me. So have a great day, and